Thank you everyone for joining us for this edition of Tech Tips. I'm Rachel Easterling, Client Engagement Manager at Fit Technologies, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Kyle Ropaw, and I am the Security Services Team Lead here at Fit.
Thanks for joining us today, Kyle.
Thank you for having me.
So I think we're going to start off with a topic everyone's very interested in is passwords. So why are strong passwords still so important today, even with other security measures in place?
So passwords are really important right now because they're the first line of defense that you have. It's you can have all these other security measures in place, but if someone gets into your account, they're able to do everything that you can do, and that's never good.
Makes sense. So what does make a password strong?
So a strong password is at least 12 characters long. You got uppercase, lowercase, special characters, numbers involved. You don't want to use any simple words, simple identifiers that might identify you, like your dog's name, your family's name, your last name, or your username, or anything like that. And it's good to use passphrases. So a passphrase is a sentence or a phrase that you use as your password, because the key here is length. Length is the most important part over complexity, because the longer the password is, the harder it is to crack.
So then what are your thoughts on using password managers?
I think password managers are great. They're really good for making sure you don't reuse passwords, really. A big problem that's always ongoing is people using the same password for all their different things. You have it for your login at work, but your login at bank, so if someone gets your password, they have access to all of those things. Password manager makes it really easy to manage all of your different passwords. So you can use the auto-generate feature on a password manager, which is awesome. It makes it a little easier so you don't make simple passwords. You can use the autofill option. So you go onto the website you're trying to log into and it'll autofill. What's great about that is that it won't pop up to autofill for websites that are not legitimate. So it look like you're logging into Facebook, but it's not actually Facebook. It won't auto-populate, so it helps prevent things there too.
So would you say, is it better to change your passwords regularly or only if there is a known breach and you get that alert, that on your phone that your account might have been compromised?
If your account is compromised, change your password immediately, of course. And it's good to rotate your passwords every so often, every 3 to 6 months. Password managers can also help with that. You can utilize the things on the password managers like reminder tools. And also, it makes password managers make it a little easier to rotate your password too, because you can manage them all in one pane. So yes, rotate your password periodically.
So how often should people update their passwords, and why does this matter?
People should update their passwords every 3 to 6 months, for instance, just to make sure that it's rotating. You don't want to have the same password out there for so long. Like I said earlier, most people reuse their passwords for other accounts. So it's good to rotate those and make sure that if someone did have that password, they don't have it for very long if they did.
Makes sense. I'm sure we all fall victim to that. I know I sure do. What's your advice for managing multiple password changes without getting overwhelmed?
That's where the password manager comes into play. If you have pretty much like a database full of all of your passwords in one central location, it's easy to change them from there. And they also have tools that you can use to set reminders, and just makes it easier to have all your passwords locked behind one, so that you can go in and manage them all in one pane of glass.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that great information on passwords and password managers, Kyle. I know here at Fit we use something called Keeper Security, so I've really enjoyed using that here, and I know we also offer it within our MSA Plus package to clients. So speaking of keeping your accounts secure, can you explain in simple terms what multi-factor authentication is and why is that so important in keeping accounts secure?
So multi-factor authentication is having 2 or more of these 3 things. It's something you know, something you have, and something you are. So something you know could be like your username, your password, your PIN numbers. Something that you have could be like an app on your phone that gives you the code, your email, or a little physical token that you plug in. And then something you are, like the biometrics, like your eye scan, thumbprint, things like that. This is important in keeping your account secure because it's that second layer defense. So that way if someone does crack your password somehow, they don't just have the keys to the kingdom. They can't just get right in. It's that second layer just to verify that you are who you are.
So what are some common types of MFA, and which ones do you recommend for some not so technical users?
So some of the most common ones that we would use are the authenticator apps. That's probably the most popular. It's just an app that you would install on your phone, and it periodically changes like a 6-digit number. So once you log in with your username and password, hit enter, the next screen that pops up is enter your code from your app. That's the most common, and that's the most relevant right now. Some other MFA options that are pretty popular are physical tokens. So something that you would plug in to your device that has those codes and those tokens generating for them already. Something we wouldn't recommend would be the SMS where it sends you a text. That's getting phased out right now.
Great. That's very helpful. And then lastly, with MFA, are there any myths or common misunderstandings that you encounter?
I think misunderstanding or misconception about MFA is that it's just really hard to set up. I think a lot of different platforms out there make it pretty easy to get going and get set up, and then things like just installing an app and scanning a code are make it a little simpler, a little easy to get everything set up, and it's available for almost anything that you log into nowadays. So it's not as hard or as complicated as it sounds.
Definitely. It's definitely worth the few extra seconds it takes to keep your accounts secure.
Absolutely.
Now, what would you say, for example, my bank app, it only allows SMS text authentication. Would you still recommend setting that up, or would you just leave it with nothing?
Great question. Absolutely set it up. Having that second layer is better than nothing, and that should work perfectly fine for us doing the two-factor.
All right, so switching topics now, onto phishing. I know that's something that's becoming more and more prevalent today. So what are some red flags that people should watch for in emails and messages?
Some of the most common things to look out for when you think you might have a phishing email, was the email sent were you not expecting it? Is there a sense of urgency in the email? A lot of times they'll try to have give you that sense of urgency so that you are quick to make a decision instead of thinking it through. Are there any links or attachments in the email that might seem a little suspicious? And then always just check the sender address. See if there's any misspellings in the sender's email address, or if there's anything kind of weird going on there.
That's helpful, thank you. And within your department, I'm sure you see this all the time. So do you have a real world example you can share with us of someone who did fall for phishing?
So we see hundreds of phishing emails a week. Some of the most common ones that we would see are when some random Gmail account sends an email to HR or the finance team, and they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I would like to change my direct deposit. Would that be possible? Can you help change it to this banking number? How that's been stopped, and what people in the HR and finance are doing, they're reaching out directly to that person before making any actions or taking any actions. Like, hey, did you really request this? Is this what you wanted to do? And then submitting that email to the security department, for phishing.
Okay, so then what should someone do if they do receive a phishing email, or maybe they even clicked the link within the email?
So if they click the link on the email, definitely let your IT department know, your IT department, your help desk, your IT security department, whoever it may be. Make sure you let them know right away, so that way they can check to make sure your account isn't compromised, and if it is, then run through their incident response plan. If you haven't clicked anything, or you haven't entered in any credentials or anything like that, you just think that you have a phishing email in your inbox, there should be, in most cases, in Outlook or whatever email platform you're using, a button to report the phishing. So there's like fish alerts, for instance, or the report phishing button, for instance. If you don't see any of those, make sure you forward that off to your IT department.
Okay, great. Now, what would you recommend for organizations to encourage their employees to actively forward along these phishing emails? I know it could maybe cause some embarrassment if you're wrong and it's not actually phishing. So how would you encourage employees to proceed with that without hesitation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in this case, it's best to be safe than sorry. Don't hesitate. If it looks suspicious to you, then you have good reason to submit it in the first place. I know in our cases, if someone submits a phishing email and it's not actually phishing, we'll send it back being like, thank you so much for sending this over. This does appear legitimate. But in most cases, it's best to just send and forward it off just to make sure. That way you don't get compromised or anything like that.
Okay, so another way that you can stay safe within your organization, a big one is keeping regular updates to software, apps, devices up to date. Can you explain to us a little bit why that is so important for cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping updates, very vital. Most vulnerabilities can be found on like different kinds of softwares or platforms, and they're found out by those companies, by those vendors, and then patched pretty quickly in most cases. So that way there's no threat actors that can get in. So if the patch is available, it'll remediate that vulnerability. If it's available and it just sits there and you haven't updated, then you're just leaving that vulnerability open for any threat actor longer and longer and longer.
Yeah. So yes, that definitely makes sense. You want to make sure your devices are always up to date. How could more non-technical users make sure their devices and applications are getting updated without getting overwhelmed?
Yeah, good question. Most softwares or platforms are going to have the enable automatic updates available. It's best to do that with especially known good vendors. So like Adobe, for instance, make sure you have those automatic updates on. Some like vendors you can trust that you're familiar with their software, very reputable. And then just make sure automatic updates is enabled so you don't have to worry about it. Check on it periodically to make sure that they are updating and you don't need to restart the program if you left the program up too long or anything like that. But outside of that, enabling automatic updates would be the best decision.
So are the automatic updates safe to rely on, would you say, or should users still be manually checking their devices for updates?
It's a good question. I feel like the automatic updates should be pretty reliable. It's good to probably check on it every so often, especially if you're one to not reboot that often. It's good to reboot your computer every so often, and so make sure these updates get pushed, like things like the Windows updates and stuff. For other softwares out there, there are some tools that could be used, some like third-party patching tools that could be used. That'll start updating all those other applications and other softwares on a regular basis that are good to be, like you can rely on the third-party patching as well. If you're unsure if you have third-party patching or not, it's best to reach out to your IT team and ask them so you know if your stuff has been getting updated or not, or if it needs to be updated.
Thank you. That's very helpful, especially for someone like myself who probably doesn't check for updates and restart their computer as much as they should. Now, can you share an example with us of a cyber incident that could have probably been prevented if more timely updates were pushed?
Yeah. So WannaCry, that happened in 2017, comes to mind. That was a ransomware attack, and it hit thousands and thousands of computers. But the thing with that was that Windows had put a patch to the vulnerability that WannaCry exploited out months before the attack actually happened. So there was a fix to it that would have prevented it from happening. So the thousands and thousands of computers that were attacked and ransomware breached, they all were systems that weren't updated in a timely fashion. If it would have been updated months before, it wouldn't have happened.
So how can organizations make cybersecurity feel less intimidating and more approachable for their teams?
Yeah, so making it part of the culture. Make sure everyone knows that we're all on the same team. We're all here trying to better the security of the company, and try to encourage that culture to have people ask questions and encourage people to give feedback so that we can always improve.
Yeah, that's great. I know that's definitely how it is at FIT. It's been very helpful. So what is one common misconception about cybersecurity that you wish more people understood?
That's good. I feel like a lot of people feel like they would assume, oh, the IT team or the IT security team will handle that or take care of that, when really we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
So if you see something, speak up. or intervene if you can. But definitely be on the lookout in case you see anything suspicious or weird, whether it be in the office or a phishing email, and let your teams know, or like I said, intervene when you can.
Great. Yeah, I think this has been very helpful today. I have one more question for you before you go. If you could give just one piece of cybersecurity advice to a non-technical professional, what would that be?
Some advice I would give is to just be diligent when, one, creating your passwords, or two, opening or clicking on any links that you're unsure about. Just give it that once over. Don't be quick to click. That would probably be the advice I'd give.
Awesome. Thank you so much.